Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So we're going to be talking today about an open world RPG which I feel is very much underrated, and this game is Elex. Now Elex is developed by Piranha Bytes and published by THQ Nordic. You may know those names from games such as Gothic. I've never played Gothic personally because it is on PC only. They are also responsible for the Risen games, which I highly recommend. They are fantastic. So this game was released on the 17th of October in 2017. Now I'm such a fan of open world RPGs, but the only way I found out about this game was by watching Click for Gameplays videos on YouTube here, because he has some amazing content. If you're into your RPGs, I'd head straight over there, once you're done with this video of course, and check out his content because it's amazing. So anyway, Elex 2 did release this year, and it released on the 1st of March. Now, I think the reason that there wasn't enough interest in this game is because another little known game released on the 25th of February, so not long before it, and as you know, Elden Ring was just hype train crazy. And to be honest, that is the reason I've not picked Elex 2 up myself yet, because I've been playing Elden Ring, and obviously Ark Survival Evolved is still very addictive, and the developers keep throwing events at us, so I can't stop playing that either. So I am wanting to get to Elex 2 when I get a bit more spare time, but today we're talking about Elex, so let's jump into it. Just from the picture when you start up the game, you can see that you can choose from an array of different combat methods and styles, which is really cool and appealing to me from the start. And then they set it up by showing you an intro cutscene, which really sets up the vibe of where you're going to be playing, the area that you're going to be playing in, and the type of people that you might come across. And it also shows you the main character, so you don't get to create your own character in this game, unfortunately. You do have a set player, and his name is Jax. And I found this to be the most difficult thing, was trying to actually feel connected to Jax, especially at the start of the game. The game takes place on a planet called Magellan. A comet has hit Magellan, and it's pretty much wiped out almost everybody. The surviving people have actually formed into factions, and they are warring against each other. There is this one faction which is trying to take control of everybody. They have found a substance inside this meteor that has come down from the sky. Everybody is using it in their own way, every faction, but this faction in particular is actually taking it into their own bodies and becoming sort of disconnected emotionally. Our protagonist that we play as is a member of that faction. And so when we first get control of the character and start playing as him, he is actually just coming off pretty much the drugs, if you know what I mean. And so he's a bit disconnected, so I think that is why I found it a little bit more difficult. What has happened is he has grown up, having taken this, it's Elex by the way, this substance that they have found is Elex, so that is, the title of the game is actually this substance that they have found in this meteorite. And we will go on to explore each faction as we go through this video, and what they're using Elex for. But as I said, this faction is using it a bit differently to everybody else, and you are part of that faction from the start, until one day, your character Jax is sent out on a mission on his own. We're not told what this mission is, just that it is going to change the fate of Magellan, and our character has been chosen as one of the Albs, that is the faction that he's in. He is the one that is going to carry out this mission that is going to change everything. So he sets out on his plane, and okay, so the thing with this faction is if you fail a mission, they kill you, basically. As I said before, they've been taking Elex for so long now that they have pretty much no emotions. So if you fail a mission, that is it, you die, they don't give a shit. Yeah, that is how it is. It's cold and it's very matter of fact. So he's out on his plane and someone shoots his plane down. We can only imagine there's probably a lot of people that would want the member of this faction dead, because, well, they're a bit evil really. They give off this really evil vibe, you know? So he goes hurtling down to the ground in this ball of badass flame, and somehow he manages to survive. So because his plane has been shot down, even though he's still alive, they're like, oh, you failed your mission, and they kill the poor bugger. Or, well, they try to kill the poor bugger, and they think that they have. I mean, were they not on drugs? You'd think, you know, he's alive still. Clearly we sent him out on this mission for a reason, so he could probably actually still continue and get the job done, whatever it's supposed to be. But no. So we don't know who has shot this plane down, we don't know what his mission was, but overall, this game sets it up really well, and you know that there is going to be some really cool secrets to uncover as you go through this game, and I thought this was just amazing. Here he is, Dr. Evil, come to give us our penance for failing our mission, Oh, but their armour looks incredible. Their faces are all pale and weird because they've the years of this Elex use, but their armour looks proper cool, I think. I think the intro cutscene did a great job at introducing us to this game, setting the story up, setting up the world, and letting us know a bit of the history of it as well. So when you come to, you don't know how long you've actually been knocked out for down here, and there's a guy robbing you. So you've got the bare minimum when you first get control of the character. You're just in your underclothes basically, and I've got no Elex in your system anymore, so Jax feels a little bit odd, and we're given this huge open world to start exploring. So straight off the bat, this game looks beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. The whole setting of the starting area especially is really, really nice. And then as for the controls, now it just feels a little bit clunky, should I say? It's probably really good, but I'm used to playing Dark Souls, and the Dark Souls games, I feel so free to be able to move about, even in the earlier ones. I mean, Dark Souls 2 can feel a little bit more clunky, and this is kind of more similar to that, but kind of ramped up quite a bit as to your movement. But other than that, it actually moves quite nicely. I do enjoy it. You can jump, which is a huge plus. I mean, it is a really weird looking jump, but early on in the game, you do actually acquire a jetpack, which is absolutely freaking awesome. And so this starting area just sort of shows you that you can jump, you can climb, you can pick up herbs, so you've got an idea that you're probably going to be able to craft at some point in the game, and it is just an awesome feeling RPG straight away. If you've ever played Risen, it is very, very similar. Obviously it is by the same developers, so I suppose it would, which is a huge plus for me, and I'm sure it will be for other people who have played the THQ Nordic and Piranha Bytes games. So as for combat, you first start off with only a melee weapon, but as I said before, there's a huge array of different options when it comes to combat once you get further into the game. And depending on what faction you choose, you can really play about with abilities and such. But the combat feels great. It actually feels pretty good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. So when you access your menu, what you're accessing is your adjutor. And the adjutor is actually an implant in your arm. So it's kind of similar to Ark in a way. So once you access your implant in your arm, you go into your inventory. And that is how you access everything. Your armor, your weapons, your inventory. And this is also where you upgrade your stats and such. And I like this. I thought it was really, really good. It gets to be a bit of a pain in the backside in a bit when we get to the first faction that every player is likely to come across, and that is the Berserkers. So you'll meet Durus, who is a member of the Berserkers, and you'll meet him quite early on in the game, and he'll offer to take you to his home, which is Goliath, and that is where the Berserkers live. And the Berserkers, they're turning Elex into mana and using it for natural purposes instead of using it for technology. They hate technology. They are not pleased about it at all. So as you can tell from the fact that they turn Elex into mana, they're magic users, which is awesome. However, I did not choose the Berserkers as my main faction. In a lot of RPG games, I play as a mage, so I thought this time I'm going to go for something completely different. So if I do play this game again, I will have a go at the Berserkers so that I can try and use some magic and see how it goes. But yeah, I didn't. But if you did, let me know in the comments, because I'd be really interested to know how the magic works, how it feels in this game. So yeah, as for technology with the Berserkers, they absolutely despise it. However, if you do decide to have Durus as your companion, he will use a jetpack, the sneaky little so-and-so. Berserkers do seem like really lovely people, and they seem like they really do have the best intentions at heart. But as for walking around Goliath, it can be such a pain in the ass, because every time you get your adjutor out and try to access your inventory, this happens.
You better keep your technology out of sight or there'll be trouble.
And I mean every time you get it out. So every time you go into your inventory around anybody in this area, it's like, take that technology to the pit! And they get really annoyed at you. Yeah, I know I said they were really nice people, but I did spend a lot of the time robbing them blind and then selling the stuff. You know, things happen, don't they? Things happen. I do like to play a sneak, and even Durus came with me, look at him. But he understands my plight. We need that elixir, which is the currency in this game. So yeah, overall, the Berserkers, really nice faction. As with any group of people, they do have their bad eggs, but overall they seem like nice people. Loads of cool stuff for you to rob off them. No, I would quite like I said before, to play these and have a go at using the magic and stuff. Maybe if I do another playthrough of the game, that's what I'll go for. But now let's take a look at the Outlaws of Tavar. So these guys, they don't want to live by the strict laws of the Berserkers, and they don't want to surrender to a life of emotionless conflict. They just want to do their own thing, basically. They seen the meteor crashing down to Magellan as like a chance for freedom for them. So they live in the wasteland, and it just looks like a big scrapyard, really. And they've only got one law. The law of the strongest. And the way these guys use Elex is just, if it comes to like a fight, if they need to fight someone, they'll inject themselves with Elex. It's like an Elex offset. It's stims, basically. So like sort of drugs, but they don't do prolonged use like what the Albs do, but they will use it if they think it'll get them a benefit in a fight, you know? But as you can see, it's a bit seedy in where they live. Like, the characters here, they're not very desirable characters. They're not very nice at all. But it's really interesting walking about here and meeting them and doing various side quests and stuff for them. I did enjoy my time here in Tavar, especially one of the big quests. Without going into spoilers, it was absolutely awesome. Some of the quests have been written phenomenally in this game, and I really, really enjoyed them. There's also one really interesting NPC here, which I will go into later, that you can have as your companion. You can have a companion from each of the factions, so you can choose which one you'd like to come around with you. And yeah, there's a really interesting one from this faction, and I'll go into that a bit later in the companion chapter. But just look at the design of the level. It is so nice. It is so good. I know we're just like in a wasteland scrapyard, but god, it was cool. But yeah, look, you can just see how seedy it is. Look, you can sit down and like watch the pole dancers and stuff. It's amazing. And then in the back rooms around the side here, there is some really gross stuff in those rooms. Let me tell you, I won't ruin anything in case you want to play the game, but yeah, if you come to this area, go into those back rooms just up to the right there, because my word, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was not expecting that. So again, I did not choose to side with these guys. I did not want to be an outlaw. I did not want to involve myself with these type of people. It was fun doing side quests and sort of being a part of it for a bit, but I did not want that to be my main choice. So I'm not quite sure what their special abilities are, but once again, if you have followed the quest line and you've sided with the outlaws, let me know in the comments what are the abilities like, because like I said, I did not choose this faction. As interesting as it was to me, I had something else in mind, and that was the Clerics of Ignodon. I wanted a cool set of armour, and I wanted a cool gun, and I knew there was only one place for that, and that was with the Clerics. So these guys, they don't use Elex for consumption, they use it for their weaponry and machinery. This appealed to me so much, because like I said, I usually play as a mage in most RPGs I play, if it's possible, or I'll use a sword and a shield, and I just thought, right, that is it. If I can have a gun in this game, I'm going to want one of those. So this is what I chose to do. And I love this area, and also the storyline for the Clerics faction is mind-blowing when you get to the secret of it. It is so good, like, I mean, so the writing is incredible. I would advise anybody to play as a cleric, but I am biased because that is the route that I went, obviously. I also grew very fond of the companion that you can have in this area. There he is with me. He's got a lovely story as well, so that's also worth exploring. But yeah, the Clerics is where it's at for me. So the stronghold here is the Hort, and they worship a god called Kalan, and they believe that only those who are pure can live before Kalan, and they feel that humanity is facing its biggest struggle, which they're not wrong really, are they? I mean, you've seen the Albs, they are fucking nuts. So those are the three factions that you get to choose from. All pretty decent, all pretty strong, all come with their own awesome companion, and you can switch back and forth between each companion no matter which faction you've decided to side with, so that is really cool. So now I reckon would be a good time to talk about leveling and crafting. So every time you level up in Elex, you get 10 attribute points, and you can put these points into any of these 5 attributes. So you've got strength, constitution, dexterity, intelligence, and cunning. So you can spread these however you want, depending on what kind of build you're going for. So with each level up, you also get a skill point. Now, the skill points you use to upgrade your abilities, but you do need a trainer, and you need to spend Elixit as well. So as I said before, that's the in-game currency. And you can see all of these abilities that I'm going through here. So you will need to have that skill point from the level up, plus the Elixit, and then find the appropriate trainer to teach you these skills. But you can just see here the vast array of different things that you can actually upgrade. So some of these abilities that you can upgrade are going to be really useful when you come to the workbench. So say now if you want to upgrade your weapons or modify them, there is so much cool stuff you can do at these workbenches. Now they do look different, the clerics, the outlaws and the berserkers workbenches all look different, but they all serve the same function. Some of the abilities that you can purchase are faction specific, like for instance if you want high-tech weaponsmith, it's only available to clerics, and then if you want unscrew, which you can salvage weapons for parts, you have to be an outlaw. You're also able to socket gemstones into your weapons to improve their stats, and you can make potions and chems with the ingredients that you've picked up around the place. It's good to pick up everything you can on the map. There is no inventory limit in this game at all, which is amazing. There's no weight limit, so you can just carry everything. So pick up everything, because you never know what you're going to need for upgrading at these workbenches. You can also sell your junk, so say now you pick up a load of cigarettes and toilet paper, you can actually just sell that stuff and make a bit of extra elixit. So yeah, love that about this game, and love the crafting system. I do enjoy a game with a great crafting system, and this one has definitely got it. So I think now would be a great time to talk about your home hub area and your companions. So there will be some minor spoilers in this section, so if you're not keen on that, then skip ahead to the next chapter. So this is Origin, and this becomes our base of operations. This is our little settlement that we get to hang out at. We get to upgrade. Our companions all hang out here, so we can come here and swap them out and choose who we want to take on our adventure with us. And it is such a nice little area, so you can upgrade it to have shops that you can buy stuff from. You can upgrade it to have your workbenches here. I mean, it's a little pricey, but you can also pay to have your bedroom decorated in various different manners. So for instance, you can have the futuristic style, which looks really cool. That's really in fitting with my clerics faction. It's got all the mod cons. You can't really interact with that much, but I can sit on this nice bench here in front of my screen. But if you're feeling like you've had too much of all that technology and you want to go for the more natural look, you can go for this one, which is nice and rustic. I do quite like this one as well. It feels a bit more castle-y and in fitting with the actual building itself, so yeah, I quite like this one. It's a bit more chilled out, like, isn't it? Got my fire pit, got a nice little bath, which is really hard to get into. I tried to jump into it for ages, and when it finally let me in, it won't let me like lie down and have a bath, but I suppose at the end of the day, he's not Geralt, is he? So my friend, he's not keen, he doesn't want to come in. I did try to get him to come in, but he's having none of it. The final look you can have is the practical, and this is pretty cool. This kind of looks a bit outlaw-y, doesn't it? You know, with all of like the metal barriers and stuff, the corrugated stuff all around the sides and that. Practical, I guess you could call it practical, but I do like having a bar in the house. I think that's pretty cool. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to stick with. I wasn't really able to purchase them until the very end of the game, to be honest with you. So, and look, you can have a drink at the bar as well. I definitely like this one a lot too. Yeah, it's got the fire pit. It hasn't got a bathtub in this one, so that is a downside, but it has got some sort of fruit machines, so you can't have everything, can you? Right, let's have a look at some of the companions that you can have joining you here in Origin. The first companion we're going to look at is Nasty, and she is nasty, and she is from the Outlaws in Tavar. So you can choose a love interest in this game. You can choose between two, and the canon I don't believe is Nasty at all, and I was torn between which one to go for. Dino Lord, my partner, was sat next to me, and as she came up with an option on there, he just pressed the button for me, and I did not have a choice in which one I wanted to have as my, let's say, partner. So yeah, I didn't have a choice in that at all. But yeah, Nasty is one of the companions, and she is from the Outlaws. She is a pretty handy companion to have with you, I suppose. But this guy is my favourite, and he is the one from the Clerics, and I like him a lot. His name is Falk, and he's just got such an endearing personality that as soon as I had him as an option, I kind of kept him with me most of the time, to be honest with you. We then have Kaya, who, without giving away too much spoilery stuff, it has more of storyline implications than anything, but you can actually have her to accompany you in some places. And I'll be honest with you, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm not keen. I find her a bit boring. Yeah, I'd rather any of the others. There is another guy here as well, but I'm not going to go over to him because I do not want to give away too much about that storyline. It is too exciting, and I do not want to ruin anything. And then you've got your old faithful Durus, who will also come and join you here in Origin. And each of these companions will have their own quests, which are all really, really interesting. They'll participate in conversations that you have with other people and stuff as well, and only certain dialogue options will become available depending on what companion you've got with you, you know? There is one more companion that I have at my camp, and that is the drone. But I missed a companion. I missed one of the companions who is in the next place that we're about to visit. This is the final area that I want to discuss, and this is the Domed City. So the Domed City is actually a home to every faction. So you've got Berserkers here, Clerics, Outlaws, and you've even got Alb Separatists that are sort of just hanging out here as well. So it is a place where everybody can kind of live together in harmony under this big giant dome, which is thought to have been of Cleric origin. It does look like Cleric technology, but apparently you can find out more about that if you find this extra companion called Arx, who I never found out about until after I'd completed the game. So you can miss stuff so easily in this game because there is so much to it. You have to really go out and look for some of the stuff in it, which I think is really incredible. I'm a bit gutted that I did miss out on that, but as you can see, everything in this end of it is kind of Cleric technology. And then you've got the other end where there is like a bar and there's like hangout areas, there's people growing crops and stuff, and they seem to sort of live in relative harmony. I mean, some of them seem a bit suspicious of the Alb Separatists, which, I mean, come on, you would be, wouldn't you? But yeah, it's really, really nice. I'm a bit gutted that I didn't actually get my companion from here. But let me know in the comments if you actually found the companion here and if you did their quest line. Obviously, the comments are going to have spoilers in, I would imagine, so if that's not your thing, steer clear. I found some of the missions and secrets here to be really interesting as well, you know. Now let's have a look at some more of the fun game mechanics that you can experience in Elex. So first things first, you want to get hold of these sunglasses, because you can see where items are through walls and everything. Can you see them all above me? As I've been knocking about, you can see like an outline of where every single item that you can collect is, and these are the most awesome things ever. You can pick them up kind of early on in the game, and I would highly recommend getting them as soon as possible because they make things so much easier. So you've got lockpicking, as with most of these games, so I would recommend upgrading your lockpicking level. And they've also got safe hacking in this game, which is actually really fun as well. I did enjoy that too. Now, I found the map really cool, and the fact that once you'd unlocked a teleporter in an area, you could then use your map to teleport back to it, or to any other ones that you had unlocked on the map. However, going up here, as you can see, it's a bit of a struggle for me to get to the various icons to see what's there. For some reason, you have to zoom right in to be able to actually move it, and you feel like you're fighting the thumbsticks a little bit, and that did my head in a little bit, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if anybody else had the same issue as I did with the map, but yeah, that was a bit off-putting, but I think that was one of the only things that I really had an issue with. Other than that, it had all the icons really clearly displayed on the map, which was awesome. So now let's have a look at some of the end game combat and how much fun it can be, as well as a couple of different biomes that you can visit in this world. So while it is a large world for you to explore, it isn't overbearing. I mean, you can look at your map and you don't feel intimidated by the amount there is to do, if you know what I mean. It's quite it's manageable and it keeps you excited, which is something that I think is very important in an RPG. And with there being so many avenues to explore when it comes to combat and your chosen faction, you can have so much fun with it. So once I was in my full cleric armor with my decent guns and I'd learnt my PSI abilities, I felt like such a badass. Yeah, I know I'm taking a few hits while I'm doing it, but how cool do I look? The enemy variation in the game is also awesome. From big gigantic robots to humanoids of all different factions, and then there's creatures that are knocking about that Elex has affected. You don't know what they were before the meteor hit, but they are pretty rough now. Like, there's like raptors and things like that. And you get collectibles from everything that you kill as well, items that are usable for different things. And there's actually an ability that you can get where you can collect more animal trophies from things that you have killed, which was one of the first things I upgraded because I thought this stuff is going to come in handy, and it did. And just overall, I've got to say, this is one of the best RPGs I've played. I usually go for like the medieval fantasy, the dark fantasy, but I really enjoyed the futuristic element in this game. And in areas like this, I felt like I was a stormtrooper in Hoth or something, you know, because I am a fan of Star Wars as well. So it kind of makes sense that I got into the sci-fi side of it too. It's just I never really explored that very much. When it comes to RPG video games, I usually stick to the same thing, you know, and I'm so glad that I gave this a go. So some of my final thoughts on this game. It is so underrated. I cannot believe that many people do not know about this game. I don't even think many people know it exists, which is such a shame because it is incredible. The open world is fantastic. As I said before, it's not too big, it is just perfect. The variation of enemies, the variation of combat options, and the story. I haven't really got too into the story in this video because I didn't want to give away too many spoilers in case anybody who is watching actually would like to play the game and hasn't tried it yet. But I will just say that that story has been so well written, and even though there is a conclusion, it does still leave you wanting more and looking forward to the next game, which I don't think many games can actually do as well as this has done. But yeah, this story it blew my mind. It really did blow my mind. I was like left going, whoa. And that doesn't happen often, does it? Let's face it. So if you're into RPGs, if you like a good combat game, if you like a good story, I would definitely consider picking up Elex in a heartbeat. So those are my thoughts on Elex. Can't wait for Elex 2. Let me know in the comments below if you've played this game and what did you think of it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you're not already. We've got loads of content on here and loads more RPG stuff coming your way. Thank you once again. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.